Alright, welcome everyone. Here we are with break 166. We are flying solo today. Dad's taken my kids to SeaWorld. Or Dad and Mum, I should say. So, we're going to get through these starter packs by ourselves. Just give me a moment. So we have 22 mini starter case, Newsagent. We have 22 Traders case. We have 21 Traders Priority, 22 Traders Priority. We also have the bonus 21 Traders Hobby Box, which is randomized. And our team list for this morning: Broncos Robert Kelly, Raiders Luke Hodder, Bulldogs, Sharks, Titans, Manly for EMAD, Storm for Robert Kelly, Knights for Jim Lindors, Cowboys for Robert Kelly, Eels, Panthers, Rabbitohs, Dragons for EMAD, Roosters for Robert Kelly, Warriors, Kevin Mansell, Tigers, Dylan Cameron. Alright. I'm not fully organised as yet, but we are pretty much there. I was helping them get out the door so they didn't miss the seal show. Alright, I think we are ready to go, guys. So let's get into it. We're not going to cut the starter packs, we're just going to open them straight up. We'll see how that goes for us. Get them out of here, make a mess. So how's everyone's weekend been so far? Bear with me, I have a plan. I'm making a mess, but I have a plan. Stack these up neatly out there. So we'll get into these first, as always. I don't know, that's what we do. Even though it's a bit different today, we'll try and keep it the same. So we're going to try and rip into these. If this doesn't work too well for us, then we'll switch over. There we go. Alright, first up, Blue Star Tunes, James Tedesco for the Roosters. Alright, that should be right. We should be on top of this, guys. Should have done my homework. I'm not sure how Jared Reason that opens his starter pack. Got another Blue Star Tunes, Harry Grant for the Storm. Another blue, Junior Paulo for the Eels. On a side note, guys, my partner reckons that she's had trouble commenting on the Facebook video. If you've experienced this, can you let us know, please? I'm not sure what that issue is. Harry Grant for the Storm, Blue Star Tunes. Oh, Star Tunes, sorry. What am I thinking? Power Heroes, guys. 22 traders. Morning, Adam. How are we, buddy? Ooh, okay. So Black Header A, Power Heroes, number 66. Not sure if everyone's seen it. We do have a couple of 4 box breaks that are listed. If they are sold out prior to this break finishing, basically, we'll be able to get them done this afternoon. Awesome, mate. Thank you. Katoni Stags, Green Power Heroes, number 38. I don't think I banned her for anything. Maybe because she's not active in the group. There might be a setting somewhere that stopped her spam wise or something like that. I don't know. Pink Header B for the Power Heroes, number 126. Our cheapest chips, 21 traders break, will now include the 21 traders league leader. We'll randomise it between all 16 spots, and the winner will get to choose from the remaining league leaders in stock. So 2 case cards for the break. Ben Hunt, Power Heroes for the Dragons, number 175. They're on Facebook for the breaks, Adam. 175, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Sorry, for some reason the chat wasn't scrolling. Master and Apprentice. Oh, what am I doing? Busy, distracted. Oh well. First packet to the break. Master and Apprentice, both formal for the Titans. And Jesse Bromwich parallel for the Storm. I'll just leave them there for a minute. We'll finish going through these and we'll hit the packets all at once. Valentine Holmes, Blue Power Heroes. So you'll find with the breaks that are up at the moment, I actually didn't tag anyone except for Emad in one of them because he specifically requested that break. But that's purely because I feel bad constantly tagging people when I put so many up at once. So I try not to bombard people with tags. Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Green Power Heroes, number 67. So if you think we've been a bit quiet, jump on the group and see if anything's been happening. Maybe you just haven't got a notification. Maybe it's because I didn't tag anyone. Green Power Hero, number 62, Jai Arrow for the Rabbits. How do you enter the Facebook breaks? Just comment that you want the spot. Payments the same way as if you would through the website. Obviously, without Afterpay, Zip Pay and that. But if you pay using bank deposit or PayPal, it's the same payment. Just transfer the payment. If you use bank for today, please send confirmation to verify. PayPal, I can check emails to verify. Jai Arrow, Power Heroes Blue. Finance is out today. Do you know off? Do I know off? Do you know off the top of your head any of those money back? No, they're all traders. Tony Staggs, Power Heroes Blue for the Broncos. The 4 box breaks are 22 traders. There's a pick your team with Panthers in it. So that's an 8 spot pick your team draft pick. So you get 2 teams, and there's a 4 box break, 22 traders, 16 spot random team, $35 a spot. Tony Staggs, Blue Power Heroes. So a few doubles for the Broncos and the Storm. And the cheap chips break is just the 21 traders case. Obviously with the league leaders case card as well. Junior Paulo, Power Heroes Blue. On Facebook, in the Facebook group. Power Heroes Pink, Dylan Watine Zalesniak, number 58. It's a bit hard to see on some of the cards, the numbers on them. Well, that wasn't too painful opening them. Definitely a lot easier with Dad helping in the background. Valentine Holmes, Power Heroes Green. Ooh, number 8. It's a low one for the greens. Yep. Alright, last starter pack. That one opened up nice and easy. Power Hero Pink, number 52. Nick Kotrick for the Bulldogs. Alright. Let's do it. So we'll open these, then we'll get stuck into the case as usual, and then the priority boxes. Daly Cherry Evans, season to remember for Manly. James Tamo, parallel for the Tigers. If you are grabbing spots in the other breaks, guys, just remember I am doing this, so I won't be able to mark them off till I'm finished. I've got no one else around today. But we will get there and get them done. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for Tigers. Mikhail Ravaloa, parallel for the Dragons. We do have the Raz with 13 spots left, which has a spot up for grabs in the cheapest chips and the 2-4 box breaks. So there's 3 spots up for grabs. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. And I will be listing another break. We'll probably do the 8 spot, pick your team, the same as this one, a little bit later on today. Kobe Hetherington, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Jared Herrera-Hargreaves, parallel for the Roosters. But we've had a few people waiting in the other breaks, so we'll try and get them filled up today. And we can break them. If we don't get them filled up today, we can break them in the next couple of days anyway. Cohen Hess, Club Heroes for the Cowboys. But as I said, if those 4 box breaks are filled up before we finish this break, we will break them today, guys. Cody Nikorima, parallel for the Warriors. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbitohs. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Team High Performance for Manly. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Black Master and Apprentice, Emery Gula for the Raiders. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to Remember, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Tino Fasamuli for the Titans. Rising Stars, Vilami Ovale for the Warriors. Jack Whiten, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Josh Kerr, parallel for the Dragons. What are we? I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's mid-August with pre-sales starting this month. William Kennedy, Season to Remember for the Sharks. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Sharks parallel checklist. We will be getting some rivalry. Not sure when it's due to arrive, but we will have rivalry, guys. Obviously, not a lot of it, as there's not much to it, but Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. David Feeder, parallel for Titans. Had a couple of ambulances just drive past. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. High performance, Daniel Tupu for the Roosters. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. When do the Rovers? Not sure. Honestly, I'm not on top of rivalry at the moment. I know it's not too far away. Might be beginning of July or towards the end of this month. Luke Metcalf, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. I know the Liar checklist has been released. I'll actually get hold of that today and I'll put it in the group and up on our checklist page. High performance, Brian Totter for the Panthers. Josh Kerr, parallel for Dragons. It's actually something I'll probably look at updating soon. Now we've got access to more of the checklists. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Alexander Brimson, Power Heroes for the Titans. Jake Granville, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for the Storm. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. Jake Clifford, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, David Fafita for the Titans. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for Panthers. Justin Olam, parallel for the Storm. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Master Apprentice, Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Corey Allen, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Greg Margie for the Titans. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Master Apprentice, Cooper Johns for the Storm. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for the Panthers. Malami Kickow, parallel for the Panthers. We're getting through these packets. Broncos parallel checklist. Season to remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Elijah Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jeremy Moisey for the Knights. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Club Heroes, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Mawaiki Fotuaika, parallel for the Titans. Jake Granville, parallel for the Cowboys. Team High Performance for the Broncos. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Creator for the Titans. Alexander Brimson, number 46. That's the one we pulled out of the case, the same as pulled out of the case in the last break. Not, we didn't get one in the mini starter case, but we pulled it in the case. James Fisher Harris, parallel for Panthers. No, last break it was all about the black six. 3 black six in one break. Massive break. High Performance, Justin Olam for the Storm. Sharks parallel checklist. Master Apprentice Black, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Kyle Felt, parallel for the Cowboys. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. We gave a whole heap of unsorted boxes out to the under sixes on the weekend. My daughter was playing, so we gave them to the opposition teams, but there's also some more under sixes for our club, so we gave them all a case each to hand out to the opposition. High Performance Jack Bird for the Dragons. They thought it was awesome. Jared Rera Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Broncos parallel checklist. Harry Grant, Power Heroes for the Storm. Kick out, parallel for the Panthers. Season to Remember, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Cody Nikorima, parallel for the Warriors. Retirement, Boyd Cordner for the Roosters. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Season to Remember, Jake Averillo for the Bulldogs. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Jordan Ricky, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. And James Fisher Harris, parallel for the Panthers. Alright, chuck them in there. We'll move these extra boxes to the side. We'll grab them at the end. And our case card. Ooh, Captain. Number 25 out of 30. I don't have my team list up. Oh, actually, I do know who this is. Mr. Emat with the Panthers. Isaiah Yo. Number 25. And what a good placement it is today. Right above their team. Alright, so we are ready to go. I'm going to push you back a bit. There we go. Alright. Try and get this done as quick as possible, guys. As I said, we're going to try and do the 4 box breaks this afternoon as well. I know it's a big ask as we have the Raz still listed, and there was 4 spots in total, which included the Raz spot, I think, for the 8 spot pick your team. Team high performance for the Tigers, and I know there was, I think, 12 spots in the 16 spot random team. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. So it is a big push in only a few hours, but we'll see how we go, guys. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Broncos parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Cole Felt, parallel for the Cowboys. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. High performance, Jordan Rapiner for the Raiders. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. Master Apprentice Black, oh hang on, sorry, no, normal, Stefano Utukamanu for the Tigers. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Harley Smith Shields, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Got a few people mowing lawns today. Thanks, Janice. Welcome to the video. Season to remember, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Club Heroes, Cody Walker for the Rabbits. Malami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Master Apprentice, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Eliza Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Eels and the Blues. Feels a bit weird saying the Blues when I now live on the Gold Coast, but born and bred, Western Sydney, so got to be Blues. Mine is Panthers. Yeah, well, definitely one of the better teams to be supporting at the moment. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tukamea Simpkins for the Tigers. Jared Rara Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. When I was living basically in Penrith. I used to go to a few games occasionally. And I'd cheer them on. They were the local side. So Ruben Garrick, season to remember for Manly. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Started to have a bit of a soft spot in the last year or so for the Titans, now living on the Gold Coast. Master and Apprentice Black for Josh Curran for the Warriors. Tessie New, parallel for the Broncos. But definitely no sway for the Blues. Blues all the way. Looking forward to Wednesday. Most of the sides made up of your Panthers, Janice. Renato Molitalo for the Sharks. High performance, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Josh Kerr, parallel for the Dragons. Our heroes, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Jake Granville, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Franklin Pillay for the Sharks. Jake Clifford, parallel for the Knights. Correct. My biggest disagreement with the side, I'll say it like that, I guess. That's the best way to say it. Is Addo Carr. Yeah, I think he definitely deserves to be there. Tyson Smoothie, Rising Stars for the Storm. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Lindsay Collins, authentic foil sig for the Roosters. Oh, struggling to get the sleeve out. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. Oh, excuse me. Season to remember, Corey Norman for the Dragons. Manly parallel checklist. This won't be happening today. It's something that I thought of. I've got a pitch to that. But who would be interested in these bigger breaks? Maybe playing a bit of trivia. And maybe we can rustle up some gifts for the winners or something like that. Rising Stars for the Warriors. David Fafita, parallel for Titans. High performance, Payne Huss for the Broncos. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Good to hear, Janice. Not sure if you're on Facebook, Janice, but if you jump on there and find the group, Gold Coast Trading Cards group, nice and simple to search. There's the page and the group. We do giveaways in there for when we hit the milestone members. Notified of all the breaks. Breaks are listed in there by themselves. James Tamo, parallel for the Tigers. And when we go live in the group and on YouTube at the same time. Tommy Talau, Power Heroes for the Tigers. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's still in there. There's a link in the video description as well that should take you straight to the group. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Sam Walker for the Roosters. No worries. Yeah, no need to, but just letting you know. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. I know some people hate Facebook and that social media, so they choose to stay off it, which is fair enough. I fully understand. Season to remember, Blake Ferguson for the Eels. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Falakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. High Performance, Will Hopewade for the Bulldogs. Jordan Ricky, parallel for Broncos. Sharks, parallel checklist. And that's box number 1 out of the cakes, done and dusted. Rising Stars, Zaxini for the Tigers. Chanel Harris-Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Jared Wallace, parallel for the Titans. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Justin Olam for the Storm. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Phoenix Crossland for the Knights. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Greg Marzhew for the Titans. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Isaiah Papali'i for the Eels. Stefano Utokumanu, parallel for Tigers. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for the Storm. Dragons, parallel checklist. Master Apprentice, Hamoli Olaka'atu for Manly. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. James Tedesco, Club Heroes for the Roosters. Christian Welsh, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Matt Duffy for the Dragons. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Master Apprentice Black, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Corey Thompson, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Jeremy Moisey for the Knights. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Team High Performance for the Knights. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. So we've had our black. Pretty sure we had a Club Hero. Team High Performance. Dry Arrow, Power Heroes for the Rabbits. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. But we haven't had our box card. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. When I say that, I'm talking about the retirements. Ridiculous. Game change. Not game changers. Creator, sorry. And the 6. So, fingers crossed. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Me personally, I always hope for a Legend Sig. That's my go-to that I love finding. Season to remember, Chad Townsend for the Sharks. Tony Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. High Performance, Jack Bird for the Dragons. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Other than hitting the big hits, when I'm opening in the breaks, if there's a certain card that I know someone in the breaks chasing and we manage to get that together, that's something else that I love in the breaks. It's good. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. High Performance, Brian To'o for Panthers. David Nofaluma, parallel for the Tigers. Junior Paulo, Power Heroes for the Eels. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for the Panthers. Valentine Holmes, parallel for Cowboys. Season to remember, Addo Carr for the Storm. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Sam Walker, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Harry Grant, parallel for the Storm. High Performance, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Jake Trebojevic for Manly. Russell Packer, retirement for the Tigers. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Titans parallel checklist. Whoop, wrong end. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Jack Hetherington, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. And Raiders parallel checklist. Alright, box number 3, guys. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. William Kennedy, Club Heroes for the Sharks. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. If you're just joining us, we found a creator in the mini starter case. So far, we've found 2 retirements. Rising Stars, Taylor May for Panthers. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. And we got the foil sig. I'm pretty sure that was in the mini starter case as well, if I remember correctly. Season to remember, Ryan Pappenhausen for the Storm. Kyle Felt, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Dino Remia for the Storm. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Also, for our 4 box breaks that we have listed in the Facebook group, if they are sold out before we are finished, then we will break them today. High Performance, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. In saying that though, we do have a Raz, but it only has 13 spots left. And that Raz gives you the chance to win. There's 3 spots up for grabs, 1 in each of the 4 box breaks. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys, and 1 in the 21 Traders Cheapest Chips case break. So, Team High Performance for the Eels. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. And that's just trying to get them cleaned up in respect to the people that have been waiting for a little while, guys. Waiting there patiently for it to fill up. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Jesse Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. High Performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. All good, Dennis. Always welcome to pop in and say hello. Harry Grant, Power Heroes for the Storm. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbits. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Predictor for the Titans, number 149. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jared Croker for the Raiders. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Eliza Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. High Performance, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. Felice Kafusi, parallel for the Storm. Going big screen, gents. Season to remember, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Reid Marnie for the Eels. Tommy Talau, parallel for Tigers. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. High performance, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Master Apprentice, Isaac Tago for the Panthers. Brian Sutton, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Brett Morris for the Roosters. Joseph Sawali, parallel for the Roosters. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Oop. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. Master and Apprentice, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Tessie New, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Heelan Lukey for the Cowboys. Luke Brooks, parallel for the Tigers. G'day, Blako. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Rabbits. Eels parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice, Black, Jerome Hughes for the Storm. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. 2 packets left for this box. Power Heroes, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Tom Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Alright. Let's go. Good day, and I should get your ETC. Rising Stars, running Avale for the Warriors. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Jordan Raviner, parallel club hero for the Raiders. Sorry, Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Warriors parallel checklist. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Brian Totter, parallel for the Panthers. High Performance, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Ryan Totter, Power Heroes for Panthers. Sione Katoa, parallel for Sharks. Alex Twal, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Luciano Leilua, parallel for Tigers. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Cowboys parallel checklist. High Performance, Milwaukee Fotoika for the Titans. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Power Heroes, Header B. Kenneth Bromwich, parallel for the Storm. Here's a question for all you social media sleuths. So I've seen the Jake Simpkins Young Gun signature for the Tigers. Has anyone else posted any pictures? He's the only one that I know of. Josh Morris for the Roosters, retirement. If you've seen any, would love to hear about it. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Adam Fanua-Blake, parallel for the Warriors. I know it's not unusual in the past to see the player with a whole table of signatures laid out in front of them, letting them dry. That was more so before COVID, when they used to go take the cards and get them signed in person, sort of thing. Matthew Tomoko, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Kevin Proctor, parallel for the Titans. Season to remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Arumu Grieg for the Eels. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Bulldogs. High Performance, Clint Gutherson for the Eels. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. High Performance, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Master and Apprentice, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Knights, parallel checklist. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Emery Gula for the Raiders. Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Master and Apprentice Black, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Team High Performance for the Sharks. Roosters parallel checklist. Give me a moment, guys. We'll get these tidied up and we'll get into the next one. There we go. What are you up to? Box number 5. And I reckon the mini starter case, it works out, especially time-wise, to be about 3 boxes. Two and a half to 3 boxes, I reckon. Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbits. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Blake Ferguson for the Eels. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. High Performance, Jordan Ravana for the Raiders. Storm, parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice, James Tamo for the Tigers. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Harley Smith Shields for the Raiders. Milwaukee Fodawaika, parallel for the Titans. Jaden Brayley, season to remember for the Knights. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Jaden Campbell, Rising Stars for the Titans. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Jake Avarillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Master Apprentice, Daniel Tupu for the Roosters. Cody Nikarima, parallel for the Warriors. Club Heroes, Jesse Bromwich for the Storm. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Jared Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Alama Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Master Apprentice, Black Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Broncos, parallel checklist. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. Tom Dearden, nope, my bad. Rising Stars, Chukwamea Simpkins for the Tigers. Roosters, parallel checklist. Power Heroes, Katoni Staggs for the Broncos. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Cowboys. Franklin Pillay for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Knights, parallel checklist. Alex Glenn, retirement for the Broncos. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. High Performance, Kyle Felt for the Cowboys. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Corey Norman for the Dragons. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Brian Kelly, parallel for Titans. Whoop, wrong end. High Performance, Xavier Coates for Broncos. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Nick Kotrick, Power Heroes for the Bulldogs. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for Storm. Reed Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Hudson Young, parallel for Raiders. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Adam Fenor Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Sam Walker, season to remember for the Roosters. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. There we go. 6 last packet for box number 5 in the case. Rising Stars, Fella Kiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Panthers parallel checklist. What's your predictions for the Young Gun signature, or the Master Series for that matter? High Performance, Nick Meaney for the Bulldogs. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. Alex Twal, parallel for the Tigers. Team High Performance for the Warriors. Dane Laurie, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Alright. Box number 6 from the case. Almost halfway there, guys. Season to remember, Mitchell Pearce for the Knights. Tavita Totola, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Wiremu Grigg for the Eels. Jack Hetherington, parallel for Bulldogs. High Performance, Micah Sivo for the Eels. Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Velemi Avile for the Warriors. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Payne Huss, Club Heroes for the Broncos. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. KB Hetherington, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Emery Gula, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Tohu Harris, parallel for Warriors. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Titans parallel checklist. High performance, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Tony Staggs, parallel for Broncos. Jai Arrow, Power Heroes for the Rabbits. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. David Nofaluma, parallel for Tigers. Parallel, Junior Paulo for the Eels. Excuse me. Season to remember, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Ooh, big creator. Number 94 for the Panthers. Nathan Cleary. Number 94. Oh, excuse me. Chanel Harris Tavita, parallel for the Warriors. Warriors parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice, Black Ben Hunt for the Dragons. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Team High Performance for the Bulldogs. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Tyson Gamble, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Stefano Utakamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Enjoy that note. I will be running off to the toilet once we finish this box quickly. High Performance for the Sharks, just a heads up. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Only be a couple of minutes. Master and Apprentice, Matt Moylan for the Sharks. Dragons parallel checklist. Junior Paulo, Power Heroes for the Eels. Harry Grant, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Reese Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson, Kalen Ponga, parallel for Knights. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. 5 packets left. High Performance, David Fafita for the Titans. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Master and Apprentice, Josh Papali for the Raiders. Corey Thompson, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Oh, get out. There we go. Season to remember, Jaden Ockenbaugh for the Bulldogs. Luke Thompson, parallel for Bulldogs. Alright, last packet for box number 6. And we'll call it halfway. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights, and Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Alright guys, I will be right back. Alright, there we go, we're back. We'll just finish tidying up what we've got here, and then we'll get stuck into the second half, guys. obviously without Dad's help on the starter packs to start off with. It does take a little bit longer, but we will get through there. We are halfway, as I said. Got 6 boxes from the case left, and we have our 2 priority boxes to finish us off. So let's get stuck into it. Good. If you don't mind, I am going to take a minute just to change my music. Alright. I can probably get you over there now, out of the way. Team High Performance for the Roosters. James Tarmo, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Oh, season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Josh Kerr, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Jack Granville, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Jake Clifford, parallel for Knights, sorry. High Performance, Josh Hodgson for the Raiders. Justin Olam, parallel for the Storm. Master and Apprentice, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Manly parallel checklist. Master and Apprentice Black, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Jordan Ricky, parallel for the Broncos. Club Heroes, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Panthers parallel checklist. Excuse me. Sharks parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Harley Smith Shields for the Raiders. Dave Fafita, parallel for the Titans. If you're going to be around the Gold Coast on the 24th of this month, 24th of June, we are promoting, or I don't know what you want to call it, the Brett Horsnell Luncheon. So we're not hosting or anything. We've got 2 tables. Season to remember, Albert Kelly for the Broncos, Thomas Burgess parallel for the Rabbits. All money raised from the luncheon goes direct to Brett. If you'd like to come along as one of our guests, I think They've reduced the tickets down to $80 a seat, and we're paying half of it. So it'll only cost you $40. I'm sure that's right. Jeremy Marshall King, parallel for the Bulldogs. They were 120 a seat when we originally grabbed the two tables, and we're going to pay 60. And any customers that wanted to come along, they paid the other half. Rising Stars for the Tigers. Tukamea Simpkins, Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. So it's for a great cause, guys. Brett's really struggling. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. He's had to sell off most of his memorabilia from when he played, just to pay for his medical expenses from the concussions from playing. If you're unable to make it and want to help, he does have a GoFundMe page set up. It was actually set up by a fellow collector, Master and Apprentice, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons, and the link for that's in our video description. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. I've met him and his partner, and they are awesome people. Season to remember, Wade Graham for the Sharks. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Franklin Pillay for the Sharks. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for Knights. High Performance, Reese Robson for the Cowboys. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Daniel Saifiti, Power Heroes for the Knights. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for Cowboys. Retirements, Michael Morgan for the Cowboys. Storm parallel checklist. Season to remember, Ewan Aiken for the Warriors. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Maiki Fodawaika, parallel for Titans. High Performance, Jake Turpin for the Broncos. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Power Heroes, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Jake Avarillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for Storm. Clint Gutherson, parallel for the Eels. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Cody Nikorima, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Panthers. Jadra Hargreaves, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Afalakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Valami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. High Performance, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Broncos, parallel checklist. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. And last but not least, for box number 7, Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons, and Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Alright, let's go. Rising Stars, Valemi Avile for the Warriors. Tavita Tatala, parallel for the Rabbits. Jacob Saifiti, Club Heroes for the Knights. Jack Hetherington, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Kobe Hetherington for the Broncos. Raiders parallel checklist. Season to remember, Nathan Cleary for the Panthers. Chanel Harris DeVita, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Matt Croker for the Knights. Reese Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. High Performance, Mitch Rain for the Titans. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Bailey Biondi Otto for the Bulldogs. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Josh Papali, Power Heroes for the Raiders. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Josh Schuster, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Matthew Tomoko for the Raiders. Corey Thompson, parallel for Titans. #21 season to remember, Hammer Fido for the Cowboys. Of Dragons, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Xavier Coates for the Broncos. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Wirumu Grieg for the Eels. Luke Thompson, parallel for the Bulldogs. High Performance, Reed Marnie for the Eels. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Warriors, parallel checklist. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Master Apprentice Black, Jake Trbojevic for Manly. Jordan Rapiner, parallel for the Raiders. Team High Performance for the Raiders. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tyrell Sloan for the Dragons. Ryan Totter, parallel for Panthers. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, William Kennedy for the Sharks. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Ben Trbojevic for Manly. Sione Katoa, parallel for Sharks. Retirements, Will Hopper-Wade for the Bulldogs. I'm going to run out of sleeves. Luciano Leilua, parallel for the Tigers. Blake Brayley, high performance for the Sharks. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Dejan Assi for the Cowboys. Stefano Utokumanu, parallel for the Tigers. Excuse me. Master Apprentice, Matt Dory for the Bulldogs. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Isaac Tago for the Panthers. Cowboys parallel checklist. Season to remember, Jesse Bromwich for the Storm. Mitchell Pearce parallel for the Knights. Kenneth Bromwich parallel for the Storm. Our Heroes header A. Toby Rudolph parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Egan Butcher for the Roosters. Jason Saab parallel for Manly. Master Apprentice, Corey Oates for the Broncos. Kevin Proctor parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbits. Latrell Mitchell parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, Sam Williams for the Raiders. Nick Kotrick parallel for the Bulldogs. And last packet for the box. High performance, Lachlan Croker for Manly, and Tyson Gamble parallel for the Broncos. Alright, let's go. Box number 9. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Corey Waddell parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jake Averillo for the Bulldogs. Emery Gula parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for the Tigers. Tohu Harris parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Hamoli Olakau'atu parallel for Manly. Daniel Tupou parallel for the Roosters. High performance, Brendan Smith for the Storm. Jerome Luai parallel for Panthers. Master and Apprentice, Cooper Johns for the Storm. Tony Staggs parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Greg Marzu for the Titans. William Kennedy parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. David Nofaluma parallel for the Tigers. Tommy Turbo, Club Heroes for Manly. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Junior Paulo, parallel for Eels. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for Storm. Jack Bird, parallel for Dragons. Master Apprentice, Bo Fulmore for the Titans. Valentine Holmes, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Jarrett Mamoisi for the Knights. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Master Apprentice, Black Emery Gula for the Raiders. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Titans, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Halfway through, box number 8. Kieran Foran, Power Heroes for Manly. Dallin Watine Zalesniak, parallel for Warriors. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Upside Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Sifa Talakai, parallel for Sharks. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Bulldogs parallel checklist. High Performance, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Chance Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, Isaiah Yeo for the Panthers. Tigers parallel checklist. Toby Rudolph, Power Heroes for the Sharks. Micah Sevo, parallel for the Eels. Foil Sig, Corey Thompson for the Titans, number 35. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for the Panthers. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. Keon Colomatini, parallel for the Rabbits. Season to remember, David Fafita for the Titans. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Christian Welsh, parallel for Storm. Look how empty that Warriors slot is. Oh, no, in all honesty, it's about average. Roosters next to it. Well, that's the big one for the break at the moment. High performance, Isaac Alou for the Roosters. That's the only reason the Warriors would look empty, because in all honesty, it's pretty much even with most of them. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Jared Wallace, parallel for the Titans. And if you get any decent hits, there is a few Warriors collectors out there. You never know, they might have something that you need. Season to remember, Daniel Saifiti for the Knights. Alexander Brimson at parallel for the Titans. Team high performance for Manly. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Alright. As I said, it's just playing tricks because the Roosters is the most at the moment, looking at the trove. I think Roosters, Raiders and Broncos are looking like they have the majority. And it's not by much, it's only by a little bit. And how many cards are in the slot means nothing. Well, look at Panthers. It's got the case card hiding there with it. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Dylan Bettine Zalesniak, parallel for Warriors. Season to remember, Brian To'o for Panthers. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Apsai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoop for the Bulldogs. Jake Turpin, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. Isaiah Papali'i, Club Heroes for the Eels. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Taylor May for the Panthers. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. And Felice Kafusi, parallel for the Storm. High Performance, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Alright, Darren Martin Zalesniak, Power Heroes for the Warriors. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbits. Rabbitohs, parallel checklist. Master Apprentice, Blake Taft for the Rabbits. Chance, Nico Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jack Hetherington for the Bulldogs and Ryan Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jake Simpkin for the Tigers. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Cohen Hess, parallel for the Cowboys. High Performance, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors. Joseph Sawali, parallel for the Roosters. James Tedesco, Power Heroes for the Roosters. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. High Performance, David Clemmer for the Knights. Bulldogs, parallel checklist. Payne Huss, parallel for Broncos. Toby Sexton, Rising Stars for the Titans. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Luke Brooks, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Adine Iremia for the Storm. Eels, parallel checklist. High Performance, Thomas Burgess for the Rabbits. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. White signature. Number 107, Tamila Paseka for Manly. Alright, Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Team High Performance for the Rabbitohs. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Teague Wilton for the Sharks. Nelson Asafa Solomona for the Storm. Season to remember, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Hamoli Olakator, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. Master and Apprentice, Jake Arthur for the Eels. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Helam Lukey for the Cowboys. Tigers, parallel checklist. 2 packets are left for box number 10 out of the case. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Micah Sevo, parallel for the Eels. Master and Apprentice, Black, Isaiah Yeo for Panthers. And Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Alright, I'm sorry guys, but I need to go to the toilet. Alright, sorry guys, I'm blaming the cold air up here. My body's not used to it. I'm declimatized to that cold stuff. Alright, so we only have 4 boxes left for the break. 5 include, if you include the giveaway box. So, on that note, we have the 2 4-box breaks, guys. Oh. 2 4-box breaks. If we can sell them out shortly, then we will break them today as well. Obviously, we have a Raz up for a spot in 3 breaks, 2 of them being 4-box ones. So we do need to sell that out as well, but it's only got 13 spots in it, so I'm sure if we get the breaks filled up, we will be able to get that one done as well. Teague Wilton, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Jesse Bromwich, Parallel for the Storm. You would have thought in the couple of times that I've actually had to get up from the table, I would have grabbed my cushion. The old tushy gets a bit sore sitting on these hard seats. Josh Curran, season to remember for the Warriors. Lachlan Croker, Parallel for Manly. What is a Raz? A raffle, basically. Our version of a raffle. Quite a few of the pages do them. Jake Friend, retirement for the Roosters. We're razzing off Legends case cards as well at one point. I'm sure we've probably got a few more up there that we will do again. Jake Friend, retirement for the Roosters. But basically, you buy a spot, or at the moment with the one that we have, you can buy as many spots as you want. We randomise all the spots 3 times, and for the one that we have up, the multi-break spot Raz, the people in spot 1, 2, and 3 all win a spot. The price, like first, second, and third, is listed in the Raz, so you know what you win. Jeremy Marshall King, Parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Jack Hetherington for the Bulldogs. Elliot Whitehead, Parallel for the Raiders. And if you're lucky enough to finish first, second, and third in the Raz, then you get all 3 spots. Jake Simpkin, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Josh Curran, Parallel for the Warriors. So you do have a chance to win 3 break spots for $15. It's not a bad option. Rising Stars, Jason Saab for Manly. James Tamo, Parallel for the Tigers. Tino, Club Heroes for the Titans. Regan Campbell Gillard, Parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Taylor May for the Panthers. Got a bit of emotional damage the other night. Josh Kerr, Parallel. Taylor May got left hanging for his handshake with Johnsy. Season to remember, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Jake Granville, Parallel for the Cowboys. We are up to the second last box out of the case, guys. High performance, Reece Welsh for the Warriors. Victor Radley, Parallel for the Roosters. Our heroes, Tommy Talau for the Tigers. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Jordan Ricky, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Toby Sexton for the Titans. Sharks parallel checklist. Season to remember, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Dean Aremia, Rising Stars for the Storm. Nathan Brown, parallel for the Eels. High Performance, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Davy Mole for the Rabbits. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Kyle Felt, parallel for the Cowboys. Team High Performance for the Panthers. Jaden Brayley, parallel for the Knights. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Power Heroes, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. David Fafita, parallel for the Titans. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. High Performance, Anari Tawala for the Knights. Corey Allen, parallel for the Bulldogs. Master and Apprentice, Cody Walker for the Rabbits. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. High Performance, David Nofaluma for the Tigers. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, TC Rabuddy for the Broncos. Elijah Katoa, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Brian To'o for Panthers. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Aaron Shoup for the Bulldogs. Tessie New, parallel for Broncos. Rising Stars, Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Justin Olam, parallel for Storm. Master and Apprentice, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Ronaldo Molitalo, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Helam Luki for the Cowboys. Tommy Talau, parallel for the Tigers. Season to remember, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Master Apprentice Black, Cody Walker for the Rabbits. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Jake Clifford, parallel for the Knights. And that's the end of box 11 out of the case. We are now up to box number 12, which is, of course, the last box. That's what we've got. Still got to find a predictor. We pulled the creator out of the mini. Oh, yeah, we got the Cleary one out of the case, didn't we? There we go. So, yeah, still a predictor. We pulled the Titans one. No Black Sigs, unfortunately. Dalmatine Zalesniak, Power Heroes for the Warriors. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jaden Sullivan for the Dragons. Joseph Sawali, parallel for the Roosters. Yep, Titans predictor. We've had one. You get two predictors in the case. High Performance, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Brian Sutton, parallel for the Raiders. There we go. Well, I guarantee at the beginning of this year, nobody would have thought this team to be in contention. But over the last few weeks, they have proved us wrong. Broncos predictor, number 170. I don't know if I'd be comfortable putting money on him yet, but definitely turned their season around to what everyone else thought they were going to be doing. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. So that was the Titans and the Broncos. Predictor for the case. Season to remember, Chad Townsend for the Sharks. Payne Haas, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Josh Schuster for Manly. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. Matt Burton, High Performance for the Panthers. Luke Brooks, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Hayes Dunster for the Eels. Josh Jackson, parallel for the Bulldogs. James Tedesco, Power Heroes for the Roosters. Eels parallel checklist. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jermaine Hopgood for the Panthers. Tom Dearden, parallel for Cowboys. Sorry, my bad. It was Broncos last year. Season to remember. Addo Carr for the Storm. Mitchell Barnett, parallel for the Knights. Roto's parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Sam Walker for the Roosters. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. High Performance, Daniel Tupou for the Roosters. Hamali Olako-Atu, parallel for Manly. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Team High Performance for the Storm. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Master and Apprentice Black, Stefano Utokamanu for the Tigers. Tom Turbo, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Blake Taff for the Rabbits. Bulldogs, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Alex Glenn for the Broncos. Aaron Clark, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. Chance Nicole Klokstad, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Zach Sini for Tigers. Dylan Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Let's tidy this box up and get rid of it. Alright. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. High Performance, Addo Carr for the Storm. Apasai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Master Apprentice, Mitchell Keys for the Knights. Jake Turpin, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Greg Marshue for the Titans. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Xavier Savage for the Raiders. Kieran Foran, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Isaiah Papali'i for the Eels. Tigers, parallel checklist. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 packets left for our final box in the case. So these 8 packets then will get stuck into the 22 Traders Priority Box. Micah Sevo, parallel for the Eels. Club hero, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Felice Kafusi, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Trent LaRoe for the Storm. Andrew McCulloch, parallel for the Dragons. Master and Apprentice, Jake Trbojevic for Manly. Cohen Hess, parallel for Cowboys. Rising Stars, Luke Metcalf for the Sharks. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Matt Duffy for the Dragons. Christian Welsh, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Jeremy Moisey for the Knights. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. And last packet for the case. You never know your luck. Not this time. Jared Wallace for the Titans, parallel. Alright, 22 Traders Priority. Josh Papali, Power Heroes for the Raiders. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Excuse me. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Keenan Palacia for the Broncos. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Talator Amon for the Dragons. Valami Kickout, parallel for the Panthers. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Panthers. Panthers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Palakiku Manu for the Bulldogs. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. High performance, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Wade Graham, parallel for the Sharks. Another predictor for the break. Number 22 for the Warriors. Number 22. Now, for those of you that are unaware, we don't do them, but Mr. Jared Rees and David Richley, they both run predictor shares. So for your bottom 8 teams, I highly recommend trying to get your predictors into them. Even the other 8 for that matter. There is only 50 sets available, and it's the first 50 sets that are in. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Priority hits number 39, team high performance for the Tigers. Clint Gufferson, parallel for the Eels. So we're still looking for the priority Master Apprentice Black. Season to remember, Wade Graham for the Sharks. Broncos parallel checklist. Oh, there we go. Hamoli Olika R2, Master Apprentice Black from Manly. And that's number 20. Oh, that's a good number. I like that number. That's my birthday. Matt Moylan, parallel for the Sharks. James Tamo, parallel for Tigers. Rising Stars, Murray Talagi for the Cowboys. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Valentine Holmes for the Cowboys. Jason Tormalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Dominic Young for the Knights. Tyson Frizzell, parallel for the Knights. Storm, parallel checklist. High performance, Josh Hodgson for the Raiders. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. High performance, Jake Turpin for the Broncos. Joe Stimson, parallel for the Bulldogs. Master Apprentice, Stefano Utikamanu for the Tigers. Malaki Fodawaika, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Harley Smith Shields for the Raiders. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Tukamea Simpkins for the Tigers. Isaiah Yo, parallel for Panthers. Tohu Harris, Club Heroes for the Warriors. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Jaden Campbell for the Titans. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Alex Twal, parallel for the Tigers. Reid Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Albert Kelly for the Broncos. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Tyson Smoothie for the Storm. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. High Performance, Reese Robson for the Cowboys. Hammer Fido, parallel for the Cowboys. Power Heroes Header A. Knights parallel checklist. Franklin Pillay, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Retirements, a Benji Marshall for the Rabbitohs. Brad Parker, parallel for Manly. That means we hit the predictor and the retirement in the priority box. Oh well. Rising Stars, Will Penasini for the Eels. Cody Nikarima, parallel for the Warriors. Marshall Apprentice is Joseph Sawali for the Roosters. Jared Rera Hargreaves, parallel for the Roosters. 2 packets left to finish off our 22 traders. And we have 121 Traders Priority Box to finish this off. Ewan Aiken, parallel for the Warriors. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Rocco Berry for the Warriors. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Alright, let's tidy this box up. Alright. #21 Traders Priority box. Last packets for the break. Once we do this, we have 5 headers, Power Hero header cards, 1 black, 1 pink, 3 normal, and to finish everything off, we have the 21 Traders Hobby Box, which is randomised between all 16 spots. You might not need that one. Rising Stars, Connolly Alumilu for the Cowboys. Josh Alloway, parallel for the Tigers. Warriors parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Braden Trindle for the Sharks. Reed Marnie, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Adam Clune for the Dragons. Darren Watine Zalesniak, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Tessie New for the Broncos. Matt Duffy, parallel for the Dragons. Star Tunes, Martin Tapau for Manly. Dale Finucane, parallel for the Storm. Straight up black, Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Dylan Napa, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Ray Stone for the Eels. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Wildcard, Clint Gutherson for the Eels. Apsai Coruscant, parallel for Panthers. Season to remember, Nick Meaney for the Bulldogs. Tom Dearden, parallel for Broncos. Reminder, Team Wildcard and Club Heroes are our priority. Lachlan Lamb, Rising Stars for the Roosters. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. So they're the 2 priority cards. We're looking for 21 Traders. Broncos White Street Art for Patrick Carrigan. Manly parallel checklist. Salami Kickout, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars of Jackson Paulo for the Rabbitohs. Josh Maguire, parallel for Cowboys. Season to remember, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Adam Dewey, parallel for Tigers. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Oh, Team Wildcard, number 14. for the Warriors. Jamal Fogarty, parallel for the Titans. Cameron Munster, parallel for the Storm. Rising Stars, Jake Averillo for the Bulldogs. Mawaiki Fotoaika, parallel for the Titans. Season remember, Sione Katoa for the Sharks. Mitchell Pearce, parallel for the Knights. Oh, Club Heroes. Definitely not a bad one. Number 2. Oh, I can't remember who we got. Luke Hodder. Congratulations, mate, with the Raiders. Josh Papali, number 2. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Tanner Boyd for the Titans. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Jared Croker for the Raiders. Sean Johnson, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Hamoli Olika R2 for Manly. Tavita Funa, parallel for Manly. Wildcard, Jack Whiten for the Raiders. And Raiders parallel checklist. White Street Art for the Cowboys, Mr. Hammer Fido. CSI Takahawi for the Roosters, parallel. Blake Ferguson, parallel for the Eels. Retirement, Shannon Boyd for the Titans. Tarek Sims, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, David Fafita for the Broncos. Knights parallel checklist. Star Tunes, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Joseph Leilua parallel for the Tigers. We got 6th last packet. 421 Traders and the break. Wildcard, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Wildcard, Brian Kelly for the Titans. Luke Keary, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Tom Starling for the Raiders. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Rabbits. Payne Haas, parallel for Broncos. Season to remember, Philip Sammy for the Titans. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbits. Rising Stars, Stephen Crichton for the Panthers, and Cody Nikorima, parallel for the Warriors. Alright guys, well that is the end of the packets. Obviously we have a few razzers to finish us off. If you did miss anything through the break, or you didn't get a chance to watch it, as always, we will have the pictures of all the team hits. But to finish us off, we will start with the black header A, number 66. Then we have the pink header B, 126. We have a normal header B and 2 header A's. So they'll be randomized between the teams associated with them. And last but not least, we will randomize our 21 Traders Hobby Box. So obviously there's plenty of big hits to be found. We've got Legends cards, black, white, signatures. If you're lucky enough to pull the Panthers predictor, they are still redeemable. So let's get on with it. I will be checking the breaks, the 4 box breaks, to see if anything's sold out, and the Raz with any luck. Alright, so everyone is loaded in there, but we need to get rid of a few to start off with. Alright, so this is for the black header A, guys. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Emad with the Bulldogs. Alright, header B. Pink header B, I should say. That's Cowboys down to Tigers. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Emad with the Panthers. Alright, another header B. This time we just got a normal one. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Dylan Cameron with the Tigers. Alright, so next up, we have 2 header A's. Alright, number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Robert Kelly with Storm. And one more of these. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Robert Kelly with the Broncos. Alright. All in. Let me grab them names. There we go. Chuck them in there. Alright, so 21 Traders Hobby Box. Number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Jim Lindors with the Knights. Sorry. Alright, well, congratulations. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. We had a few extra viewers today, which is always good. And keep an eye out, guys. I'm going to try and set up a trivia thing in these big breaks. We might give away some single packets to the winners or something along those lines. Maybe a small gift card for the website. I don't know. Leave it with me. We'll work it out, and I'll see you again soon.